One. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Ordinary People, Extraordinary Lives. I'm Johnny H, and I'm here with Dean.
Hello there, John. All right?
Yeah, I'm good. And Dean's going to tell us a really amazing story, a kind of road to redemption. He'll explain it better than me, but suffice to say, he's been through some dark times, but he's come out the other end, and he has a story today to tell you. And I'm going to hand it over to you, Dean. Away you go.
I hope you do your favour and do your service. You built me up there, and now I've got to really deliver. Yeah, I normally go to meetings or go to a fellowship and say, "Yeah, my name's Dean. I'm a compulsive gambler." So that's what I am. I recognise myself as a person that when I start gambling, I can't stop. My story is I've had problems with gambling on and off for anything from 20 years, 25 years, on and off. My story starts. I had a lot of family in seaside resorts, and my mum and dad had a chalet on the Isle of Sheppey. So them sort of environments were full of fruit machines, the rainfall machine, or the what they call it, where the machine goes backwards for the penny drop machine, and arcades. I know about 5 or 6 years of age I was allowed to play on a large fruit machine for a large payout, I think £100. And you might go, how do I know that I was 5 or 6? Because my mum and dad sold the chalet in 1982. So I would have been the oldest at 6. That's the latest I could have been. I was allowed to play on a fruit machine. I was drawn to fruit machines as a kid while everyone else was on, at the time it would have been Space Invaders, or like the Formula One, simulator driving computer game, and Pac-Man. But I was always fixated with fruit machines, and my family also played a lot of bingo and a lot of cards inside the caravan and the chalet that we was at. So I remember playing, as I say, 5 or 6 years of age. No one stopped me, and I remember winning about £33. And as a 5 or 6 year old, I was pressing gamble even then. And my mum and dad had to run across because someone shouted, "He's won £33, he's won," and they had collected it. And it's so vivid because I remember going down to the local seaside market and buying a Sergio Tacchini tracksuit. So I used my money wisely. I clearly wasn't compulsive then, but that's an early memory and recollection. And then say later on, my aunts and my uncles and many family lived in Broadstairs and Margate. So quite a lot. I spent a lot of summer holidays and Easter holidays down visiting my aunt, and it was always taken to the bingo hall. I'd slip off into the arcades, and that's and the family loved cards. They loved, as a big group, they used to play a game called Kaluki, which I was probably too young for that, a bit more complicated for a young kid. But I remember wanting to be involved with that environment. Say, I remember buying a Spectrum 48K. I think the rich kids had Commodores. I had the cheaper Spectrum. I really didn't I might have got it out occasionally, but it was always put away. I was never drawn to computers or anything it was always generally I like to be in that sort of that environment. But again, as a kid, I wasn't compulsive then, but that's my early recollection of just being attracted to that. There was also a machine in the arcade. I don't know if you ever remember it. So I'm an 80s child, so I'm 43. The 80s, early 90s, and they had a machine where the horses bobbed along, and I don't know, there's a row of 6 horses. You put 10 pence in, return 10 pence, 20 pence, 40 pence, 60 pence, 80 pence, and £1, depending on what horse you backed. I'd always back the one that was, I think, was a mauve, and it always returned £1, but it obviously never won too much because that was the biggest payout. So that was something. I remember being as a kid, being at that height, I could see the horses bobbling along, and I loved it. So that probably takes me on to later in my life. Really, my big thing was horses and dogs. But so that was my early recollection as a kid, drawn to more of them sort of games rather than computer games. And then never really had a problem at school. Never gambled. I can't. Maybe carried on playing. But might have played cards every now and again. Might have played. Placed a bet on the Grand National or the Derby, just the once a year sort of bet with my mum and dad and family. But it was I can only I'll tell you what really set me off, because I've done a lot of work on myself and a lot of reflection. But it's as clear as day. My surname's Frost, and my dad used to have a newspaper shop, and I used to work there every morning. I used to go for all the newspapers, sport, the politics, you name it, and I'll just read back to front, from the Sun to the Mirror to the Star, Today, Daily Mail, Express. And I remember one day, it was about 1998, 99. I did write it down, and I forgot to bring the piece of paper. But I was looking at the horses. I didn't really, I weren't get compulsive then, but I see the word "A Touch of Frost." It was a horse that was napped, which means the newspaper's favourite horse of the day. This is the big bet. And I thought, it's got to be, with my surname, Frost. So I went to place the bet. It was a non-runner. So now I never placed the bet. But a week later, it ran again. And it was a midweek day. And it was the first time I ever walked into a betting shop to put the bet on. I had to ask how I write a bet. And I placed the bet £5 on this horse called The Touch of Frost, and it was 33-1. And I just put a straight fiver on the nose. Now, today, if I'd ever bet again, not that I hopefully intend not to, I would, that sort of price, I put it on each way, but I didn't. I placed it £5 on the nose, and then I placed the bet, and I stood. It's the first time I'd ever stood in a betting shop and watched something, and I placed it and watched it. This horse, it was in a 20 horse field, one of 20 horses, and it was 7 furlongs, so pretty much a straight sprint. This horse come out the stalls and led by lengths the whole way through, and it just went through the line, and I watched, and I won, basically. And I stood there and thought, wow, that was easy. I had 2 thoughts. That was easy, and I can make a living out of this. Oh, and I had another thought. Why didn't I have more on? Instantly, my first ever bet that I placed on a horse to watch, and it won. I remember my mind going, why didn't I have a tenner on? So straight away, I wasn't satisfied with returning £165. And very quickly, from that day onwards, I had a couple of other big winners. A 4-timer. About a year later, a week before I became a cab driver. So that was 2000. I placed a 4-timer, which I backed 1, 2, 3, and 4 in 4 different races, and they all won. It was a £7.50 bet, and I won about 800 quid. And again, that was another little imprint. Went, wow, how easy is this? And I believe them 2 bets were the things that sort of went, Dean, when you become a cab driver and you've got freedom, and I had little part-time jobs. I weren't earning a lot, but I was learning to become a cab driver, doing the knowledge of London. I thought, when I become a cab driver, I'll have the freedom, I'll have a bit more money in my pocket, and I'm really going to take William Hills and Ladbrokes to the cleaners. And very, very quickly, within about a year, I'd gone from I call it the 3 stages of gambling. This was my gambling life. The first stage was I was walking at the betting shops, going, I'll just have one bet, and a few weeks later it became 2, 3, 4 bets, 5 bets. So it was enjoyable. I liked being in the betting shop. Felt comfortable. I felt I got a buzz. I felt warm. I escaped from reality, and I just loved standing in betting shops. And it was easy. In my head, I thought it's easier than going to work in a cab. Rather than ranking up at the Paddington train station or Waterloo for a £5 fare, I can have a tenner on an 8-1 shot or a fiver on a 12-1 shot and win and get out. Well, say the 3 stages it was enjoyable to start with, and I loved it. There was a middle stage. I don't know when this become, what stage, 4 months, 10 months, 6 months. But there was a middle stage where I went, then I'm spending too long in this betting shop, and I'm spending too much money. I'm spending more than I can afford. And then there was the end game where they call it the invisible line, where I stepped over it and started taking loans out, credit cards out, manipulating people, moving money around, taking credit cards out. And I was in my head going, you've got to stop this now. This is now time to stop. And I couldn't. And it was, I just carried on. I can only think when I enter that stage of gambling, the only reason I carry on going is because I want my money back, because I don't know when it is enough. But I've also discovered when I walk in a betting shop, it changed the way I feel. It lifts me. It gives me a buzz. It gives me adrenaline rush. I get the butterflies in my stomach. I get the release of dopamine, which I've understood now is a free chemical release in the brain. And it gives me the greatest high that I can. I've done everything that gives me a high, but that's a high I can only. When they're loading up the horses into the stalls, or the dogs are going into them boxes, and I place that bet, the stomach is, the butterflies are flying around, and I can't explain it. So a combination of the feeling, I like the feeling of gambling. At some stage I like winning, but in the end I was losing, but I probably couldn't accept that my money had gone. And that's one big thing for addiction that I've worked at, is that I've got to with gambling especially, the only way for me to stop is I've got to let go of whatever's gone, whether it be £100, £400, £4,000, £40,000, whatever it may be, what I've lost, I've got to let it go. I'll probably struggle with that, and that's why I've carried on gambling. So that was my gambling. I was on and off for years into a fellowship of a 12-step fellowship, trying to get a grip of it. I'll go there for 6 months, go back to gambling. Then I don't know what's happened there. Then I'll go back to the meetings. I'll stop for a year, and then I thought, I cracked it. I'm not going to come to the meetings anymore. Go back gambling. So and then I've had 3.5 years off. I've gone back gambling, and it's only this time around that I've finally stopped by working with let's call it a mentor, and now I try and help mentor others. It's and I regularly go to meetings, a 12-step fellowship, where there's this common bond. There's this we get identification with one another. We understand each other's language. We talk each other's language. And I've rambled on here, but when I'm in a betting shop, I used to look around going, does anyone gamble like me? Does he gamble? Like, I used to see the regulars in the same betting shop and go, does he gamble like me? I'm gambling like a lunatic. I can't stop. I keep running backwards and forwards to the ATM, or putting my card over in the end, like towards the end. And I'm looking around and go, does he gamble like? And I did actually, on the odd occasion, go, mate, do you gamble all right? Can you gamble? And they used to look at me as if to say, you're mad, mate. But what you? And it's only once you go into a fellowship of other people that understand your language or my language, I go, wow, I finally found a group of people that understand what I'm talking about. I thought I was the only one gambling like this. And then we have that connection and that identification, what people share resonates, and that's how I've stopped. But it's been a long battle. I say battle. I think it doesn't have to be a battle. I think any addiction doesn't have to be a battle. I think I actually say it should be a surrender. Just hold your hands up. Like people, I hear people I'm battling addiction. Don't got to battle it. Just surrender. Like going in a war. You either carry on fighting or being in a boxing ring with Muhammad Ali. You get your corner to throw the towel in. Surrender. I can't take any more beatings by he's battered me for 10 rounds and I've got to go hold my hands up. So yeah, I've surrendered hopefully, and I intend never to. I never say I'm never going to gamble again, because it's too harsh, and it sounds like I'm giving myself a contract. Or if I do break out, I might not never go back. I intend never to gamble again. Have I rambled on there?
No, you have not. In fact, you had me kind of completely hooked. I too, I've had problems of different kinds, addiction problems, and I always found that when I hear stories around gambling, it's almost I feel that story even more because um, it's been the one I've found most difficult to kind of put down, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah.
And for those who are watching this and saying to themselves, "Hang on a minute, Dean, you seem like a normal chap, good-looking fella, cheeky chappy, probably got a very popular guy, seems to have it all together, decent job. Why can't you?" A bit like the alcoholic. Why can't you just have one? Why can't you just bet on the national once a year, or that's what I do, or if they, why can't you just bet on the odd thing here or there? Why can't? What's your
Uh,
answer to that? What's your answer?
I don't know. I've looked into a bit of research around, you know, as I mentioned earlier on about the release of the dopamine. You know, the scientific, I suppose, or people that are maybe doctors or work in this field will talk about the dopamine release, the free chemical, and some people get it a stronger release of dopamine, and they go, "I want more of it." Oh, I think there maybe is a chemical. I don't know, some sort of chemical release that just hits me harder than the average person.
And you
Do
get
you know what I
addicted
mean?
to it.
And just want more of it. Like
Yeah.
as I
You,
say, it's a combination of. I mean, in the fellowship I go to, it says this is not a financial problem; it's an emotional problem. But it's the one addiction that's linked to money. If I didn't put money over the counter, and I just if I had a mental bet and go, horse number 4 is going to win this race with no money, it's not going to give me that buzz and kick.
give me an example of that stage 3 that you're talking about. You said there are 3 stages.
Well, I tell you what. So the stage was I'd go out and work in the morning. So I might have, say I gambled, right, and that night I go to bed and go, right, Dean, do not go back in that betting shop again. Just go to work, go and earn whatever you can till go out at 7 in the morning, work till 4 or 5 in the evening, and once you've got to 4 or 5, go home. Take the money home and put it on the side. And then I go to work at 7 in the morning. Obviously, there's no betting. No betting shop was open 7. Might be now today. But about 10 or 11 in the morning, I suppose maybe the work then slows down a little bit. The rush hour's over in the cab, and all of a sudden, go. Do you know what? I ain't had a bad morning, but I just could do with nicking another. I could do with nicking. That's what I used to say. Do with nicking another 80 quid. I could do with nicking another one. And my mind goes, yeah, if I have a 10 on a 10 to 1 shot, or a £5 each way double on a 4 to 1 shot and a 5 to 1 shot, and I might be. And I go, yeah, all right, do that, but just go and have one bet. Once you've had that one bet, walk out. Even though I knew what was going to happen. So that could be one situation. Or the other situation, I might not have anything in my mind, but I've got this, I would call it the automatic, for drivers, I've got the automatic steering wheel. I'm driving along going, all of a sudden my arms pull me into a parking space because there's a corals to the left there. And I've got these automatic legs that just take me in there. And these automatic arm that pushes the door open. And if most people say, if you've got a gambling addiction, don't go into Willie Mills. I go, you don't understand. I can't physically stop myself going to Willie Mills. It's not, you feel like there's a magnetic force. And you go in there and you go, you're in there, you go,
yeah.
And that's it. Once that first bet, so it's a bit of a trickery. It's a bit of there's a bit of trickery in the mind. It's sort of, linked to this job. It could be money. So a little bit of, go on, then you can go home by 1 o'clock. If you just pop in there, go and have a tenner on a 10 to 1 shot, get you in at one, get back in the cab. Well, I tell you what, if I won one at one with that £10, I'm carrying on. Once I've lost that tenner, I want my tenner back, and I have no. So it's like that's the stage 3 is just
that's the insanity of it.
And then it all of a sudden becomes, Jesus Christ! I've got that credit card bill cropping up on me here. I've got the gas bill that I'm now 4 months
And
or
you're
3
working
months.
like a dog,
Yeah,
probably. Like, because for myself personally, I was working 7 days a week a lot of the time, but still just throwing money into the furnace.
yeah.
Throwing, the analogy I put it was like, you know, in those old movies where they're shoveling coal into their steam engine to keep this express train going. That's what it
That's
felt like to
exactly.
me. Except it was just this never-ending. I mean, and I've earned. I'm sure you have too.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't. I couldn't stop myself. I could not. It was so overpacked. Like you said, it was at stage 3. I didn't even know. I wasn't even aware it was happening. I was just the automatic. It was automatic. And big wins were never kept hold of. They were just rolled on to the next one.
Yeah, I won a price of one afternoon. I really needed a holiday, and I was like working the week to pay for a holiday, like just try and get a real large deposit down. I went in the day before the Grand National was a big hunter's chase, and I backed this massive prize horse and I put a lumps on, what I would consider lumps on, and I walked out and went, I've got an holiday here. And I thought, right, I'm going to go next door to the Barclays next door. I'm going to put this in. Well, the Barclays had a long queue, and I thought, oh God, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll go and get a Wimpy. I'll go and get a large or a large burger and chips and a big milkshake.
And it
That's what I
started
used to do.
again.
I used to, and then when I went back out, it was one of those Barclays that shut up 3 or 4 in the afternoon. It was an early shutting, but I went, oh, I can't believe it. And this wad of money I had, I thought, all right, let's just go in and just have a little bit more, and let's go and have a bit more, and then a bit more, and then I could never walk out on an even number. Do you know what I mean? So if I had 1,432, I'll do the 32. I go, just walk out at 1,400, just do the £34. Once I've done the £34, I go, right, let's just do another one, and I could, and all of a sudden, the trickery of the mind. But I quickly share this. You talk about throwing coal onto the like that's what I used to think. I went, why didn't I just go in and just hand this to some that sounds derogatory, to a homeless person, or go and give it to someone that needs it, or just go home and give it to my wife. Or my head went, because I used to stay in there for hours. I used to think, I've spent hundreds in here. Why didn't I just have one bet with this big amount of, or like, you know, go in with X amount in my pocket, just go and lump on one race and walk out. And the reason I never done that, I've looked back, because I wanted to stay in action for a longer period. So it might be 10s, 20s, 10s, 20s, 30s, 40s, 20s. And on my fellowship, we don't talk about money. This is the madness of my gambling. I could start fives, then tenors go on, then it's 20s, 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 then it's 25s each way, and I've run out of money. In the back of my cab, I've got a tin that used to fill up with coins. One day, I went into a pound shop and said, "Mate, I've run out of my money. I've done the money in a betting shop. This is the madness of my gambling. I had a tin like that, full of money, and I just ironed out all the notes, and I couldn't get any more money out the ATM. I went into a pound shop in Hoxton. I said to the pound guy behind the counter, I went, this tin has got money in it, but I need a tin opener. Can I buy a tin opener? I won't be able to pay you until I've got the money out of it." So I bought a pound tin opener. It was useless. I went, right, mate, have you got a better tin opener? I promise when I open this, I will pay you a tin opener. And I'm opening, flipped it, giving the money for the tin opener, and the next thing I'm pouring it all out. I started with the £2 coins, ironed them out, £20 coins, ironed them out. And the madness, as I say, it's notes, it's large denomination notes, and it's £2 coins, £1 coin. Then at the very end, I'm going with a 25p each way accumulator to get me out of trouble.
Jesus Christ.
I can laugh.
That old classic one.
It's funny. I've got the ability to laugh at it. It's painful at the time, but when you're in it, you'll get like, because I used to sit in this cab and go, what have I done? And I used to look in that mirror and go, Dean, do not do that again tomorrow. And I go to bed, put my head on the pillow about 10. Funny, I could sleep. A lot of gamblers can't sleep. I used to be able to sleep and pretending it was all a dream. I used to go to sleep thinking, please, this just be a dream, like it's a bad nightmare, and wake up. And then about 11, 12 o'clock the following day, I'm starting all again. Mental.
hell. And you got a and you know, look, if there's anybody out there who's watching this now and has any way a kind of similar dilemma at the moment, how on earth? Because I can see how it is that express train. It does pick up speed, and sometimes you feel like you're just hurtling towards the fucking arsehole of nowhere. How on earth do you stop? How do you stop?
My experiences and my experience of seeing others, you have to be in a big, great pain. You've got to say, I've had enough. I've really had enough. There's a lot of phrases that go around, a lot of fellowship. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I'm fed up of robbing Pete to pay Paul. Or you've literally got. I stopped this time round because I was in a cul-de-sac of debt. My last bet was piddly amounts. I went to a cash point and looked at my balance and looked and thought, Jesus, that all I got left? And I thought, so. And I took the last bit of money I had. I knew that I'd done loans. I've been refused loans now. Yeah. Credit card was maxed up. I think it has to be pain, emotional pain, financial pain, maybe on the verge of breakups of families, on the verge of losing children, verge of losing your company or your job, you know, in trouble with a lot. There has to be
the rock bottom.
But yeah, some pain, whatever it may be. If you're not in maybe that's my path. I never experienced enough pain. So, but I think it has to be pain and it has to come within. I see many people brought along to these meetings, sometimes with partners. Few stay, but a lot don't, because they're not coming because they want to come. They're coming maybe for the to please the wife or to please the parents or to please brothers and sisters. So it's got to be pain.
So what changed? So it's 3 years now. You're clean. You're
3 years and 10 days. Yeah.
What's different? What was different this time for you?
Well, I'll be honest. I drove down the motorway after my last bit of gambling. I went, right, that's it. I've got to tell my wife. I had the choice of. I was driving along, going, right.
Did she know? Did she know your problem before that?
Yeah, she knew on and off.
Because it's such a. Gambling is so. It's not easy to hide. You just wouldn't know anyone's really got it, but your loved ones would, kind of. But then you've got a job where you can kind of. It's you could make up any kind of lie, like it wasn't busy today, the money wasn't coming in, or I was out.
Amount of flat tires I've had. To say, how come I'm late? The fan belt was broke. The core plugs have gone.
Oh.
The lights have gone. The electrics have gone on the cab. I'm stuck on the M20. I've said I've been stuck on the M25.
It turns us into liars.
And then you go, what?
Yeah.
And then there was one time I was waiting to be paid out. I had one day Sunday where I was being paid out lots of money, but towards the end they used to hide all their money in the Fobsy machines, the roulette machines. That's where they go, right, that one won't be opening for 10 minutes because it's on a timer. That one won't be opening for 20 minutes. So I was standing. I was supposed to be out for dinner. My missus went, where are you? I went, just in the Blackwall Tunnel. I said, but something's broken down. I wasn't. I was still in the central London trying to wait for my money to come out. And at 20 minutes, she went, right, where are you? I said, I'm still stuck in the Blackwall Tunnel. I don't know what's happened. All the lights are off, turned their engines. And I'm still standing waiting for So what turned it around? So I've got to keep going back to all my stories. It's the madness of gambling. But what really changed it was I drove home this morning, the day up with my last bet, and I thought, I can't do this anymore. I can't lie anymore. I was behind on my cab. I've had enough. I was renting a cab at the time. I was about 6 or 7 weeks behind on the cab rent. I was behind on car payments, and everything was just like the net was closing in. That's how I felt. The net was going right.
What percentage of your money were you spending in gambling?
I don't know. I think towards the last 18, because my last spell was 18 months. It was an 18-month spell of gambling.
No, you don't have to answer that question.
No, but I maxed out credit cards. I maxed out, I've got loans. So I actually think, I'm not sure whether it was there was some days where I had to pay my wife money for that house and for the money that she was, part time. So I gave her money. I always made sure you know, I made sure mortgage was paid, and I always made sure she was paid because that was maybe the 2 payments that I could cover my. But maybe even I was using credit cards to pay her and credit cards alone to pay the mortgage because it was all going into a pot and going however I could survive. So, but what turned it around? I was driving home and I had 2 loans and a credit card, and I thought, should I tell her about what should I tell her about? I'll tell her about the 2 loans, leave the credit card. Then my was going, no, don't tell her about the loan or the 2 loans, just tell her about. In the end, I opened the door. She went, "What are you home already for?" I went, "I've gambled." She went, I knew it. She went, "What have you done?" And straight away I went, "I've got a loan for this, I've got a loan for this, and I've got a credit card." I laid it all on and it's the best thing I ever did because I think if I held back the credit card, and this is not, I can't give anyone an opinion. This is my experience, but this is a suggestion for anyone that's really going, "Oh shit, I've got to tell them," lay it all on the table because it eventually come back and bite you on the arse anyway. Do you know what I mean? So I truly believe if I didn't tell her about a credit card if I told her about 2 loans and left a credit card in the background, the likelihood is I would have still gone into Ladbrokes or William Mills to try and pay off that credit card. That's what the mind would have gone. All right, okay. So this is a suggestion. It was a suggestion of be totally transparent and honest about everything because that way you ain't got to lie anymore. Do you know what I mean? Even if it's going to be painful, and it was very painful because my wife was angry for months. I had to. I went out like a schoolboy. I had to come home every night and say what I'd earned, right in a ledger, like to tell her what I'd earned, what I'd done on petrol, which I'd done anyway from my accounts, but I had having to do it. And she gave me like £15 float every day. It was like a naughty schoolboy. The downside for a cab driver, they would say don't walk around with money, but it's very hard in the cab trade because you are given money. The only saving grace in the last 3 years, I've started to take more credit card because of the contactless payment. So that was probably a bonus. Started taking credit card and car payments, and I'm on an app, so I didn't have to touch as much cash. But it's bloody hard. If you got cash, that's what I used. So be transparently honest. And the other thing she said to me when I walked through it, okay, you're going to go back to your meetings, but I want you to go and see a cognitive therapist, or a psychotherapist, psychiatrist, counsellor, a life coach, whatever you're going to do. You're not just going to go to your meeting. And I went, I've got to tell you, there's one thing I've never tried. I've never tried to work a recovery program with a mentor stroke sponsor. She went, okay. In my head, I didn't want to go to a psychotherapy because I heard they was £200 a pop, or a counsellor was like £80 a pop. But my went, I ain't got the money to go to them. I went, I tell you what, I've got one person, I've got a friend of mine at the meetings who's very knowledgeable. Hopefully he'll help me take me through a program. And I went there within a week and said, will you take me through the recovery program? And they went, yeah, I will do. And it's the best thing I've ever done. So I think putting the gambling down is one thing with meetings and identification with other like compulsive gamblers or other addicts. Next stage is there has to be an internal change. And that's, I truly believe, like there's a phrase, leopards can't change their spots, but bloody humans can. You know what I mean? Human beings can change, but it takes honesty, really going deep inside, looking at your defects. It asks you to write your defects, and you go, big ego. You think, I ain't got no defects. I'm the man. I have, and all of a sudden you're getting a list of all the defects. You go, oh, I've got that one. Oh, I've got that one. Judgmental, yeah. Critical, yeah. Self-critical and critical of others. I'm very resentful, yeah, that's me. I'm very envious, yeah, that's me. I procrastinate, yeah, that's definitely me. And all of a sudden you go through a list, go, wow, I've got a bit of work to do here. Yeah, but that's if a lot of people don't understand what's the link between that. I can only say my experience is by trying to change them, write about them. It's helped me become a bit more of a level-headed person. A Mr. 6 and 7 out of 10 through the week. You know what I mean? If I have some highs, I can come back to 6 or 7. If I feel a bit flat, I've got some tools that help me get back to a 6 and 7 out of 10 every. Being a nice even kill.
That's really interesting. Yeah. So life's a lot better now. You talked about honesty. how important, what does honesty mean to you?
Oh, honesty, well, integrity, honesty, being open with others. So straight away, the first thing, honest with, it benefited me being honest with my wife straight away. So I haven't, being honest, I haven't got a lie anymore. As a compulsive gambler, I'm supposed sure all addictions, most people are lying. Have you drunk? No, I haven't drunk. I think with gambling, it's like we shared earlier on. It's that sort of addiction where there's no sign. There can be only maybe small subtle signs that partners may see, but we can hide a lot of, like, hey, how work? Yeah, really busy today. And you think, Jesus, I've just stood in Ladbrokes for 8 hours. So when my wife says, how was you busy today? I can just be honest. No, it was busy, or no, it weren't too great today. It was. So just being honest with my wife. Basically, I was honest with my mum and dad. I had to be honest with them because I needed them to pay my tax bill about 3 years ago. But they never knew for 20 years. But by being honest with my mum and dad, wow, the weight lifted off my shoulders.
Did they know? Did they have any idea?
Yeah, we had feelings. You had never had money, or you was having to borrow to go on holiday, or we was wondering why you ain't been on holiday for 3 years, and you've got a cab driver. Your wife, my wife works, so they sort of went. We had a feeling, but yeah, like that was a weight off my shoulder, like amazing weight, like because I sat there because it's part of my recovery.
It takes courage, actually. It takes courage to be honest. But like you say, that honesty, it's key. It's just key. It's the centerpiece of it all. Without honesty,
honesty would. So I'll be honest. So I've got to be honest with my wife, my parents, and friends. I'm pretty open and honest about gambling, my addiction. It protects me. I mean, I went about 18 months ago to one horse race meeting. I would never do it again. It's the worst thing I've ever done. I didn't bet, but all my mates knew. They used to I was protected. I just stood with them. They took my money, but I never had no. I wouldn't recommend it to anyone. Put it that way. If you're a compulsive gambler, I wouldn't recommend going horse racing. I actually didn't, it wasn't the bet. It wasn't the betting that I didn't enjoy. It was the egos in the place. It was like very, very macho and very like everyone thought they was the judge. You know what I mean? I didn't want to that more than the actual racing. But the other bit of honesty is actually when I work in a recovery program, and I say, if someone's asked you to mark yourself out of 10 being really good and 1 being the worst, marking myself out of procrastination out of 10, marking myself out of envy out of 10. Go, well, if I lie and say, yeah, I'm brilliant, I don't procrastinate, I'm a 10, I'm lying to myself. What's the point of that? Can't kid myself. So honest, I think the real big person to be honest with is, myself. You know what I mean? Along with the very close people, my wife and my mum and dad. Yeah.
Well, we're getting near the end of this interview, and it's gone so quick. But you've put so much into it, and I'm so pleased that you've given your time to tell your story. Just to finish off, I'll give a few questions to people who are on the channel. The first one is, if there was a billboard and you could put anything on it, a quote, a phrase, any kind of message, and all the world could see it, what would that message be?
I've got a few. It's funny because there's one I love. Arnold Palmer used to say, "The harder I work, the luckier I get." You know what I mean? So the harder I've worked in recovery, it doesn't work for gambling. The harder I practice gambling, the worse I get. Actually, for recovery, I would say the harder I work, the luckier I get. And I love it. Something it's all to do with, like, because part of the fellowship I go to is trying to get you to work on an altruistic plane, which means doing something, wanting nothing in return. I read a book by Stephen Sylvester, a psychiatrist, but an ex-cricketer. And in his book, it stood out like a sore thumb to me, having a purpose, have a purpose greater than yourself. That would be a real powerful quote for me. And it means so much to me, i.e. taking others through some sort of recovery program. Today I've just gone out and done some deliveries for people that are isolating. So, there's so much reward of doing something for others and not wanting anything in return, because we do live in a world where many people do things for something and they want something back for it. Once I don't want anything back from it other than just, even it's just a simple thank you. And today I delivered some food today, and the woman, she just wanted to come out and talk because she's probably isolated for 3 weeks. Her daughter's had COVID-19 and been isolated in her house in Essex, and I'm in Kent, and the woman come out and we spoke for 20 minutes just about all sorts of things. So, so I rambled on. The quote I'd have on a billboard: try and have a purpose greater than yourself, because we live in a world where I think, especially at the moment, I think it's made us realise many people have been running around like blue-ass flies trying to get the best thing, the material, the extension, the nice solidity, the flash, everything. And actually, once this situation that was made us realise it's actually we're all on a level playing field.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's why I set up the channel. I set up the channel because ultimately the real success stories are everywhere. I think we pay too much attention to the 1% or the elite, or they have their story too. But just like you say, the story you told there of where today you went out and you spoke to that woman, and she just needed somebody to talk to. That's a success.
Yeah. How do you judge? How do you judge success?
Exactly.
Like
that's it. That's it. Well, the way I look at it, what's actually valuable, especially going forward from here. And I think what will be valuable in the world, not in a monetary term, it will be to be more human, to connect with people more. We've realised, I bet you have too, because of this COVID-19 situation, what's actually important. It's family, it's friends, it's loved ones, it's connecting. Because now we're starved of connection. It's the one thing we want most, I can't visit mum and dad.
Yeah.
You're starved. Oh God, when I see my mum the next time, I just want to like hold her tight and say I love you. I guess it's a lesson for us all. Okay, we're nearly there. What are you most proud of right now in your life?
My family, my wife, my daughter. Proud of being able to have conversations like this from 3 years ago, being let's say a shell of a man, beaten man, person that was numb, being able to openly speak like this. Openly speak. Hopefully, proud of it. Hopefully, being able to share like this my experience and giving something away. Just proud.
What are you most excited about?
Do you know what? This is really odd because many people, I know that lots of people, I feel quite euphoric at the moment. What you shared about being like a bit more human because of this situation. I'm quite excited about the end of this, whenever it comes, whether it be 3 weeks or 6 weeks, because I actually do think there'll be a human reset. Or many people, although many people are probably have gone into their savings, are going to have to work again to work really hard to get savings or start paying bills. But hopefully, people I'm excited about the end of this. I was quite euphoric at the start of it. My mates and family go, "You're bonkers. Why are you so euphoric?" Because maybe I'm prepared for the worst. That the recovery program prepares me for the worst, and this is maybe not saying we've been rained with bombs, but this is a unique situation which is testing because I've got no work. My work stopped, so I'm excited about the end of it. I think there's a quite exciting future. I think there's actually an exciting future if what I'm getting from most people I have a conversation with, they're all saying connection, relationships, what's most important. That's all I hear. If I'm queuing at a Sainsbury's and you're having a chat with people, distancing chat, this conversation's pretty sane. It's.
And let's face it. Look, I know the world was the way it was. But I mean, who's really going to want it to go back to the way it was before? I mean, completely the same. This endless race to get to maybe one day you'll have enough money. That was the big lie, really. One day you'll have
Yeah,
enough money to buy your freedom.
yeah,
Essentially, what the capitalism promises you. Get enough money, and you will be free.
yeah, yeah.
And you know, you spoke about your kind of spiritual journey, shall we say? You know, by working a program, a 12-step program, and it's a completely different way to get free. And I think we, you know, you're well placed to do something, I don't know, of value and benefit to the world after this. You're doing it right now by doing this share, to be honest.
Do you know, I'll quickly share this with you.
Go on.
6 weeks ago, I was in the cab working as normal, and I had one of the things, I don't know if you've ever read the promises at any of the meetings you go to, the promises. In one of the lines, it says, economic insecurity will leave us. Well, I've got to say, as a cab driver 6 weeks ago, I was still under pressure to pay the bill, the mortgage. French meaning of mortgage is death pledge. Mortgage, credit card,
Yeah.
loans, bills. And yeah, under pressure, like 5 or 6 days a week to get bills in. And quite often it's 3 or 4 days before the end of the month before I can get everything in and go, wow, I left that short. That's another 4 days like short before, some days, some months I've got the money in just that day before. Anyway, 6 weeks ago, I was driving a cab, weighed down with worry and insecure finance. Today I don't have it and I've not got no work. Work that out. I've got no economic fear or economic insecurity today, and I'm not working. I'm just doing some deliveries for friends. I've got nothing coming in. My wife's been put on furlough, and I had economic insecurity 6 weeks ago. I don't today in the middle of the coronavirus shutdown. I'm not working.
Yeah.
That's mad, but that's got to be recovery.
Definitely, it's recovery, and like I say, I do hope, I'm right that this is more of a paradigm shift rather than a kind of breakdown of order.
I think I've had people talk to me about astrology.
I've had both as well.
I've had people talk to me about and I don't know too much about that. I've got some people who are well into it, and I've watched some videos about it. And a shift, won't go into all other stuff that to do with politics and government, but
yeah,
I think that
we're living
in
changing times. That for sure.
People, the human and the people may get this world back to how it should be, not the world we see 6 weeks ago.
Yeah.
The night of the shutdown, I was sitting on Regent Street. Every shop was shut. I just sat there and looked and thought, this is 7:30 on a Friday night. All the shops are shut. Just the odd person walk along. And normally, a couple of weeks before that, before the shutdown, it would have been a buzz of people up and down the street buying clothes or whatever. Mayfair would have been full up. Soho would have been full up. A buzz of, and all of a sudden it was just this. But actually, I say, it was a real surreal moment. But I was sitting there, even in there, going, there's going to be something good that comes back, and it'll be a human reset. I really do believe that, and yeah,
I hope so
I've rambled
too.
on again.
No, I hope so too. No, you haven't rambled on. I'm so pleased that you came on. I'm so pleased you came on.
Oh, good.
And I had somebody else pull out, and you came in today, and you've been absolutely brilliant. You taught me a lot. If I'm being honest with you, I still haven't completely beaten the gambling ghost. If I'm being honest with you. I've conquered other demons. I'm still in your kind of pre-3-year stage. I don't want. It's hard for me to say that because I want to say that it's all okay, but I've still got to sort of tackle that. But listening to your story has actually given me the courage to say that first of all, and maybe even speak to you afterwards about how to sort it out. But yeah, I'm so pleased you came on. I hope somebody somewhere out there, and many people out there, get as much out of this interview as I have here. Dean, thank you so much for taking the time out in your cab tonight to send us this inspirational message, this really inspirational message. This is the whole reason I've got this channel. It's all about the truth. It's all about people who've turned their lives around, who are on the, as I say, the highway to hell, but now on the road to redemption. And you certainly redeemed yourself in so many ways, and God bless you. I hope the coming months and years for you are 10 times more fruitful than the ones that came previously. I really mean that.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the time. Thanks for the opportunity to give my story, and hopefully someone does get something from it. I really do.
And if you don't know, also, you might be actually doing your own podcast yourself soon. So
I was thinking about doing something in the cab. Who knows? I'll get some tips off you.
We'll get a link. We'll get a link over to you. Thanks, Dean. Appreciate it, mate.
You're welcome. Cheers.
All the best.